Is going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Monster Legends. Want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button and show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, peeps, I'm going to level with you. I have been getting absolutely destroyed by the allergies. Oh my god, it's been horrible. Some devil plant's been growing out in the bushes, and it's putting out some horrible, terrible pollen that's raping my face holes and all of them. It's horrible. It's bad, but we survived. We're here, and we're recording a video, and it's a little late. But that's okay, it'll be a little later video than usual, but we survived to make it, and that's what's important. I'm not gathering my legendary habitats, as you can see here. I'm kind of picking around them, just so if we get a node for gathering gold, I can still get the bulk of my gold picked up. But today, we're going to talk about Montezuma. That is, if you are unaware by now, you haven't been paying attention, but he is the reward for getting first in the race, Mountezuma. So we're going to go through an analysis of him, why I think he's probably one of the best monsters in the game right now. No kidding, he's that good. But we're going to go through we're going to get a picture popping up here in a second, and we're going to start jumping into things, peeps. Alright, peeps, so here he is, Mountezuma. Let's jump over and go over his stats real fast like. His base power, 3,377. So it's not really a huge base power stat. It's not terrible, but it could definitely be better for a damage dealing role. Health, 30,763. So he's pretty tanky. He's got a pretty solid life stat. It's going to be pretty hard to one-shot someone like that. Obviously, you know, you can, but still pretty high. Speed, 3,465. Very important. High base speed stat is pretty high. Obviously, there's monsters with higher base speed stats out there, of course. But in the Earth category, there's only really one. That's Baba Yaga. So he's still a very, very, very fast Earth monster. And he's still a fast monster through all the elements, too. So very good there. Max gold per minute here, 244. Not a super special stat, but whatever. Some people like to see it. So you see it here, peeps. Moving on down, his trait, he has the mountain trait. Obviously, Mountezuma, he's a mountain. Very solid trait for any role of monster, support, damage dealer, or deny. Anytime you have a mountain trait, that's really good. So very, very, very strong trait on this guy. Makes him amazing, in my opinion. Moving down, we've got the special skill, the WrathofGod energy. This is an AoE, 65 power, so not like huge damage or anything, but it's an AoE poison and damage reduction. So that's a twofold damage reduction on your enemy. Poison attacks the enemy's power, and damage reduction attacks the skill's strength itself. So the skills do less damage, and the monster has less power, so twofold damage reduction, not a bad ultimate, not a bad ultimate. Moving over to his skills, this is where he gets really good, peeps. Really good, amazing, in fact. Mountezuma's Revenge. It targets a single enemy, but the effects are AoE. I'm 99.6% sure this is the case, because he already has a different skill that does cooldowns activate on a single monster. This is the AoE version, alright? It activates all the cooldowns of the entire enemy team, but it also activates all the cooldown's own skills. Now, that's not amazing, you know, that it activates his own cooldowns, but it's still very, very, very powerful. And we'll get into why in a second. Now, moving over, this is probably what caught most people's eye. The Acid Slime Rain with an AoE of 55 power. This is the highest in the game, I think tied with Incognita, but I think she has a lower power stat. I could be wrong. Anyways, yes, very, very, very high AoE damage. 55 power is amazing. Stacking damage buffs on that makes it go insane in the membrane. But not only does it do a ton of damage, it also has poison attached to it as well, which is pretty freaking crazy. So if the damage doesn't kill them, the poison probably will. Anyways, very solid damage dealing skill. If you're taking him as damage dealer role, obviously this is one you do not pass up. If you do, you don't really know what you're doing, peeps. Anyways, we're going to move over. Elder Curse here. This is a single target attack, 50 damage special. So it doesn't really, it's not resisted by anything. That's always nice. And it's also got a 2-turn possession attached to it. Now that's good no matter which way you run him. If you're running Denial, 2-turn possession is obviously very good. If you're running him as damage dealer, 2-turn possession is still really good. So, very great skill here. It's probably one you're going to take it. It's going to be in your lineup, probably pretty much for sure. Moving down, we have Slime Storm. This is a 40 power AoE that gives all the enemies damage reduction. Now, the most important thing about this skill is its 0 cooldown. What that means is if you run Montezuma as Denial and you drop Montezuma's Revenge, the next turn you're not denied on yourself. You can actually still pop a 40 power AoE damage reduction skill because it has no cooldown, which is great. It's also great because if you're doing damage dealer, a 40 power AoE spammable damage is powerful. So it works both in either way you run him, damage dealer or deny. So it's probably one of those skills that you're going to pick up and you're going to take it. Moving over, we've got the Toxic Disease. This is 45 power, single target. It does a poison and possess on the target. It's a pretty good skill, but you may not have room for it due to the fact that he has a lot of really good skills. Still, I wanted to put it in here because it's a good skill. Moving over, we have the Fatigue hit. This is a things happen in my face. Anyways, this is an extra turn skill, but what it does is it poisons one of the enemies. Why should you take it? Is it worth taking? I would say yes. Yes, it's absolutely worth taking for a couple of reasons. My biggest reason, it counters possession. He's already immune to stun, he's already immune to freeze, he's not immune to possession. And a lot of possession monsters are actually faster than him. You know, Hackster, Baba Yaga in Earth Wars, she's faster than he is, so she can possess him. This allows you to get out of possession almost free. You do poison one of your teammates, which does kind of suck, but you get the extra turn, which can allow you to cooldown activate the entire enemy team, or drop a very heavy AoE damage. Either or. So I think it's one of those skills that you should probably take, just because it does help you counter possession, and he's already got Mountain Trait, so it really kind of rounds him out as being immune to most crowd control, which is great. It's great news, peeps. Now, what makes this guy so great? Well, obviously a lot of stuff you've seen already. He's got great skills for either way you want to take him. Either denial build or damage dealing build. He's not really support build at all. A lot of people were really excited about his damage dealing capabilities with the 55 power AoE, getting him at 115, putting strength runes on him and being like, yes, I can one-shot people, so you can do very high damage. And why that's true and why I think he would make a phenomenal damage dealer, I think he is far more useful as a denial monster. Now, people may fight me on that. No. I say yes. Because, for a couple of reasons. Mainly, in PvP, once you break past about 3,500 trophies, you really start to see a defensive meta kick in, where you see General Thades and Timerian almost always. And there's a good reason you see those monsters. General Thades is kind of tough to counter, and Timerian is kind of tough to counter because of their traits and what their skills do. So, this guy actually does counter those monsters, which is why I think taking him as damage dealer kind of wastes some of that potential. You're better off running him against something where he's going to be useful very often, almost in every situation, which I think Denial Monster he does. He counters monsters you're going to see all the freaking time. So that's how I would recommend you run him, 3-speed Denial, but you can obviously run him as damage dealer as well. He'll make a fantastic damage dealer. But like I said, I lean towards the Denial role. And so first what we're going to do here now that we've got him, all of his skills analyzed, all that good stuff and things, we're going to compare him to the Denial monster he is most like, what he is very similar to, and then we'll show you why Mountezuma is better, alright? Alright, so here we are at Timerian. Now, you might say, Timerian is not really a denial monster. Well, he's actually run both ways quite frequently, especially higher up in trophies. You'll start seeing a lot of people do it. They run Timerian with 3 speed, another monster with all team speed, to kind of help him get cooldowns activated off first. It's a pretty solid strat. You see him about 50-50 both ways. A lot of people run him as support, a lot of people run him denial monster. There's 2 places he can fit, and he does both pretty well. I'm not going to lie, he's pretty good at both of them. Now, what are the big key differences between this guy and Mountezuma that makes Mountezuma the better monster? Well, straight up, the base speed. Timerian only has 3,388 base speed, which is very low. It's one of the lowest speeds you can run on a denial monster, and it actually makes him... the only reason he works in denial is because he can't be denied himself. Pretty much is what happens. Is no matter what status effect hits him other than stamina drain, he can still go. So that's why Timerian is used so much, but he's slower than Mountezuma, so Mountezuma gets the first attack off, and let's go ahead and look at Timerian's skills. The best skills are all listed right here, and as you can see, there's not a single one of them that have 0 cooldown. they are all cooldown based skills. So when Mountezuma pops, cooldowns activated on Timerian, he becomes useless. He becomes useless for at least 2 turns of cooldown. He can't do anything. Now, even if he gets his ultimate, he's still not useful. Initial State is a garbage skill. It doesn't really do that much. Most people don't even use it because it's bad. They'd rather just use his regular skill set. So, Mountezuma obviously trumps Timerian in the denial category. He makes a much better version of him, and if someone runs him as support, Mountezuma still ruins him as a support monster because cooldowns activated means Timerian can do nothing useful. I know a lot of people will ignore base speed stats. They don't think it's super important, but base speed stat is very, very important for a lot of reasons. The main reason is you can't get away from a monster's base speed stat. No matter how many runes you put on it, it still has that base speed. So when you take a Timerian with 3 level 10 speed runes, and you take a Montezuma with 3 level 10 speed runes, Montezuma is still faster because his base speed was faster. That's why it's a very important stat and people overlook it. So like I said, Mountezuma makes this guy pretty much history as a support and deny. If you're using him as your denial on offense, unless his cooldown's activated misses, he absolutely ruins Timerian and makes him a worthless monster on the defense team. Straight up. So, that's awesome. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about the most used denial on defense. You're going to see this chickadee everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And we're going to jump in and see why Montezuma also ruins her. Alright, you probably guessed it, General Thades. That's right. You see this chick absolutely everywhere. Once you pass 3,500, even back at 3,000, she's still used all the time. She is the most overused defensive monster in the game. And there's a good reason for it, okay? She's kind of tough to counter, alright? She's kind of tough to counter because the 2 best monsters that counter her are General Thades and Frostbite, because they both drain stamina, and without stamina, General Thades is useless. The problem with using those 2 monsters to counter her is they both have the exact same base speed she does, which means if you're all ruined the same and you fight a General Thades, you're gambling a 50-50 shot that you're going first or she's going first, which is dangerous. The main reason people don't use other monsters to counter her, like Possession, Freeze, things like that, is because the General's trait is a 35% resistance to status effects, which means you're gambling that you're going to either freeze her or stun her, or you might just flat out miss, and if you miss and she stamina drains, you're right back in the same boat of being screwed. So she's a very difficult General to counter, that's why you see so many of her. People, obviously you can beat her, it's not like she's unbeatable, but she is tough to counter. She's tough to counter. Some people like to say you can use Blob or Sparking Mantis's denials to counter her. That's a terrible idea. They're just damage dealers with stamina drain skills. If you use them as your denial, you're going to regret it hardcore because you're only denying 1 monster, and the other 2 monsters can still absolutely wreck your team very bad. So, no, don't do that. Do not do that, peeps. But obviously, we're talking about Montezuma here and why he counters her. Obviously, as you noticed, her speed, 3,421, is lower than Mountezuma at 3,465. This means everybody's ruined the same. Mountezuma goes first, he drops cooldowns activated, and what does that do for General Thades? It ruins her completely. She is absolutely butthole now, because the only skill she has that has a 1-turn cooldown is Brutal Harpoon, which is not even good on denial. I wouldn't even run it on my denial build, it's a waste of a slot. But, I mean, she can't do anything. Stamina Devours is a 4-turn cooldown. She is now made completely useless, even if she gets her special skill. As long as you're not running a fire-based damage dealer, like Shalinar or something, her special is nothing to worry about it even a little bit. It's 85 power, yeah, but it's just water damage. It does no freeze, there's no AoE compatibility to it, it's literally a single target water damage skill. So it's useless as a deny roll, which means even if she does get her ultimate, it's still not a big threat to your team. So Mountezuma actually makes General Thades ruined. I mean, it makes her useless. Once you hit her with that, she's nothing anymore. And that is why I say, for 100% surezies, if you should use Mountezuma as denial, because she is going to make PvP a million times easier for you, because there are so freaking many General Thades out there that you can attack knowing full well before you start the battle that you're almost 100% safe. There's almost no way you're going to lose unless your cooldown's activated misses, which it can, which is bad, but whatevs. It's still a 90% accurate version to stun her versus a 50% chance using a General Thades, or the 35% chance that she dodges any other crowd control. Alright, peeps, so that's Mountezuma's analysis. Obviously, he's a very, very good monster and very, very useful. I feel like in the coming months, you're going to see a lot of him because he is so good. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, don't forget to leave those in the down there, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you liked the video, please make sure you smash that thumbs up button and show your support, and I will see you guys next time.